Move that thing.
Okay. So for our first talking point of the evening, we're going to talk about Ricky Gervais's opening monologue to the 2020 Golden Globes. If you haven't seen the video, I recommend you do that. Link is in the description. CJ just saw it for the very first time.
I did.
Alex had seen it, I assume, earlier this week. What are your guys' just thoughts on your initial reaction? This is your initial reaction. What do you think?
That was pretty intense.
Yeah, you don't see that very often. You know, because
it was a mix of actually trying to make a statement with probably just a lot of, I want to say anger, but I think it was definitely a very lackadaisical approach to what he was trying to do of like no fucks given.
I think it came more out of like frustration too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I got, which was him kind of standing up there going, "Why are we doing this pageantry? It doesn't really matter for anything. Congratulations, you guys did a great job. Pat yourself on the back. Let's move on with our lives. Like the real world has way more to do than what's going on in this room."
Well, that's what I really liked is when he explicitly was like, "You have no reason to lecture the public. You don't know shit. Like you are so detached from the real world that what the fuck are you going to tell the people watching this?" You know, and I think that's awesome because I actually, I used to watch like the Oscars and stuff growing up. I used to watch them with my family, and it got to the point where everybody that won an award, it was just an attempt for them to like
stroke their egos.
Yeah, gain more notoriety just in the name of something like, oh, we hate Bush in the war, and then it was, oh, we hate fucking, now we hate Republicans, and we hate this and that, and it's just always been these things that's like, just say thank you. That's all this is. Like, somebody said you did a good job.
Right?
That's all it is.
You don't get a raise at work and then get to go on the work floor and
like,
start
hey,
lecturing
guys.
politics. Like, hey man, I just got $2 more an hour, man. All you left-wing motherfuckers, go sit in the corner. You know nothing about the real world. Like, you don't get to do that.
That's a very good analogy. That'd be fucking really frustrating if that was how the workplace worked.
Yeah.
One of your coworkers gets a bump up and they're like, all right, so for the next 3 hours, I'm just going to fucking spout nonsense. You're like, God damn it. And that's what it is. I mean, that's like, when I see all the, like, when I see celebrities like Matt Damon and everybody crying, there's always just nonsense. Like, I really don't think it's genuine either. I don't think a lot of the care from these celebrities is genuine. I think it's just to get your name out there, just to associate yourself with something.
Oh, it's definitely politics.
And that's the worst part of it to me. I think some, not to discredit everybody, but I think that some celebrities do it just for clout, and they really don't give a shit about what they're...
Right, it's because their PR person told them that, hey, if you win this award, say this, these are your talking points, because we're going to do this, and this next week, blah, blah, blah.
I'm sure if it's like a point as much as, either a very ignorant approach to finding, passion or, a very, I guess, a way to add depth. Instead of appearing so shallow, you can get up there and say, like, I'm not just somebody who, gets paid, a stupid amount of money to do something that is kind of worthless in all senses. I mean, don't get me wrong, I appreciate a good film as much as anybody, but, it's kind of like, I hate to say, like looking at football players. Yeah. Where you're like, you literally catch a ball for a living and you're making millions of dollars. That to me is just absurd.
Yeah, well, we as a culture, we pay for things that we can't do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, and that, I'm not going to go down to tangent on what that possibly could be in my eyes. But, I think it's a very way to go in and try and show depth in addition to, it's like, I don't know, hearing Kesha talk about something, you're just like... You got like one layer and that's like stupid and that's pretty much it. Although I will say...
But then at the same time, there are people that use their platform for good and you can't discredit all of them by...
Well, yeah, I mean, going back to like Matt Damon or like Leonardo DiCaprio, they're very passionate, very educated, and they've actually donated a good amount of money and time towards that cause.
Those may have not been the best analogies, but they're the most recognizable.
They are. No, don't get me wrong. But I mean, a good one would be like Kanye West. During Hurricane Katrina.
Kanye West.
Yeah.
My man, dude.
Like
an opinion on everything, making gospel records.
Did he have a point? Like, yeah, the man did have a point, but did he come at it from a very ignorant way and very, I just want attention kind of way,
Yes.
It's a very shallow approach.
It's very eccentric.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a difference. Because you can have those opinions, and if you're eccentric and that's just your personality expressing your thoughts, I don't know if that necessarily means, look at me, that's just, this is my personality, here are my thoughts, they come together, and then it just makes you look stupid.
Well,
But it's not necessarily, like, you may not necessarily think that you, truly believe, or that everyone else should believe it, but if you come at it with, this is my personality, these are my thoughts, put them together, and it's like a storm for looking ignorant, even though that's not necessarily your intention.
Well, no, you actually bring up a good point, because I didn't even think about that. Like, you put all these artists, essentially, into a room, and then you congratulate them, and you give them a platform, like, essentially, that's true. You're kind of just asking for it, because you're now giving an artist a platform, a reason to speak and express themselves, and that's interesting. I didn't even think about that.
I mean, I don't know if I've ever heard anyone come out and be like, you average day people need to do this.
Yeah.
Like, get rid of fucking straws, you fucking soda.
Stop killing the turtles, you bitches!
Yeah, I think they just go out there.
That would be great, though. That, Leonardo DiCaprio, next award you win, stop killing the turtles, you bitches, and then walk off stage. Best performance to date. You heard it here from a blog that no one watches.
No, but I think that could be part of it. Is just because and also they're actors. Remember, like, they're literally. That is literally what they do. Is act. So you can put any words in their mouth and they will recite that convincingly, because that's literally what they get paid to do.
It's true.
Yeah.
I think the worst thing is when you have like actors who played politicians, that somehow makes them think they understand politics. I don't know.
Well, even then, a striking portrayal of a politician, can even sway the public opinion on what that really is. Like Daniel Day-Lewis playing Abraham Lincoln. My dad, I hate to use my dad as an example, but I'm gonna. Came out after watching that movie. Was like, oh my gosh, Abraham Lincoln was such an amazing person. Like, not really. Like, maybe as a person he was good, but like as a politician he was actually horrible. I mean, he suspended habeas corpus. Like, that's not something that we should like praise. A violation of the Constitution. Well, why the fuck do we have a Constitution, right? If you're gonna do something like that, so. I don't know. I think
I think that comes with just the devil's in the details too. Like when you try and quantify a person down to like one or two things in their life for a movie or a script or whatever, you're totally missing, all those accessory moments that were around it. Because let's put it this way: if you're playing a game of chess, right? And let's just say you only look at 3 moves that you made to win the game, and one of them was like you sacrificing a pawn, and you're like, well, why would you sacrifice that pawn? You just gave up one of your guys. And then you write a story about how this one pawn got sacrificed because you, the chess player, put him in that position, and then you fail to look at, well, but he won the game at the end of the day because of moves like that. That's what I'm kind of getting at.
Well, I think too, if we're talking about like I get what you're saying with the Daniel Day-Lewis, Abraham Lincoln portrayal, but at the end of the day, like that kind of stuff, I don't think you should really take those. People shouldn't take those movies too seriously, because at the end of the day, it is still a script. It has to be written with a certain narrative and things like that.
Well, and that's my point.
Yeah,
though. It's like you get these people who go out there and have the platform, whether it's the movie, the award, whatever it is, and they see this portrayal of it, and they just assume,
that is
true. Because of that portrayal, Abraham Lincoln was a good guy.
Yeah.
That's kind of like, have you actually sat back and looked at whether or not he was a good guy? You know, it's like Obama, you know, which looking back on it, I mean, I didn't think Trump could do a worse job, but I also didn't have high expectations. But anyways, you know, it's like Obama, for example, people were, oh, he's just so well-spoken, he's so good-looking. It's like, yeah, he is all those, you know, he's a good-looking guy. He speaks amazing, you know, but...
He's also bombing the shit out of
Yeah, he also has, you know, like the Fast and Furious scandal, you know, the drone scandal where, you know, anyways, you know, people forget this idea, you know, just because it looked good on the outside. Yeah, oh yeah, I'm going to end the war.
Yeah, that's what politics is all designed around.
Yeah.
It's...
Well, yeah, but how does Hollywood... like,
well, they're
exacerbate the ignorance surrounding American politics.
In every facet they can, because, I mean, look, all you have to do is say, you know, this film is based on true events, and you're already creating opinions right there, you know? Just like you're saying with the Abraham Lincoln. Even think about how we were educated about Abraham Lincoln as kids. Like, you know, we were always taught he freed the slaves because he was a good person. Like, that's not the fucking truth. Like, it was a war move, dude.
Yeah,
he was playing war games,
trying to destroy the economy.
And it was a brilliant war move at that, because he did destroy the entire infrastructure of the fucking South.
He did.
But it does not, you know. But that's not what you're taught when you're growing up. You're just like, you just have this thought in your head of like, oh, Abraham Lincoln loved black people, you know, and that's not the truth.
Well, I think that comes back down to two things. One, history is always written by the victors, and two, think about when you learned that. You know, we were like 7, 8. Like,
I guess that's a lot to lay on a 7-year-old.
Like,
so look, so the world's a fucked up place, right? And so we have war and we have slaves at this point. Yeah, you just be like, nah, I quit now. Like,
so nothing matters is what you're telling me, and I'm just gonna like wait patiently for death. Like,
you're just in the first grade in some clothes you didn't even pick out. Like, all right, I guess life's over.
All of school doesn't matter. Living and dying doesn't matter. Your life has no purpose.
The kid playing.
You can kill yourself right now, and nobody's gonna give a shit, dude.
And then it's just like, all right, take a nap.
All right, it's nap time, kids. Get used to this, okay?
Yo, this is real pre-K.
One nap closer to death, all right, guys?
One day you just won't wake up, boy. That's the pre-K I want to send my kid to. Just be a little hard dude at like the age of 4.
Little juice box for my homies.
Yeah, he's just like, damn.
Oh my god.
My kid's outside just playing dice. Like, go inside, Dad.
But what about the paradoxical argument that he was portraying from the get-go is don't use this as a platform as he uses it as a platform.
Yes.
Right?
I mean, I guess that's kind of the...
I mean, I get it's like, fuck it, last hurrah, like he's out there trying to make a statement of like none of this fucking matters kind of a thing, but like...
What it reminded me more of is like, you know, obviously too, Ricky Gervais is a stand-up comedian, like world-renowned stand-up comedian. To me, more of that was just a bit than anything else.
Definitely.
Like, you know, and like you said, he didn't care, so why wouldn't he just... To me, it was like him trying out bits that he didn't know if they were going to work or not, and he had the most prime audience in the world, because what's crazy is the camera people were always focusing in on, like, you know, Tina Fey and Tom Hanks and people that had negative reactions to the jokes, but if you listen to the audio, the people in that room are fucking dying, dude. Like,
that is true.
Well, you know what's ironic?
But I do get what you're saying. He is kind of contradicting himself.
Yeah, it's slightly hypocritical in one way, because he is like, don't make a statement.
As he stands out there for 8 minutes making a statement.
But I appreciated his statement. Maybe it's biased, obviously, but I appreciated his statement much more than I would have, you know, fucking...
Well, I also think, to some extent, and I'm not 100% positive on this, but it could have also just been his own PR move to draw more attention to himself, whatever project he may have going on in the future. Potentially. I mean,
Wouldn't that be?
it'd be.
I see. I get on YouTube tonight, and there's a preview for a new Ricky Gervais movie. I'd be
Yeah.
like, "You bastard! I wrote about you.
You broke my heart.
You used me."
No, what would be epic is if, or not epic, but like true to the sentiment is if he just like lays low for a year. Just like,
Yeah, just
nah.
falls
Whatever.
into obscurity. I
For
mean,
a
you gotta
second,
think.
yeah.
You gotta think too. He might, because the dude has so much. He wrote The Office, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
Like, the dude has more money than he could ever shake a stick at. Like, he doesn't need to ever act
yeah.
again.
And maybe that's what's coming out now is he's got fuck you money.
Yeah,
And that literally was a fuck you money move, like right there.
Maybe.
Just
Yeah.
like, whatever.
And I mean, good. I just think it's cool too that, in another way, you know, like, dude, he made an Epstein didn't kill himself joke on NBC, on fucking NBC, dude. Like, that's huge,
What,
you know.
what was it like?
In front of people that
boo
knew
part where he was like, "Shut up! I know it was your
Yeah,
friend,
I know.
but, like, shut up."
Like, that's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
And it's true, because there were people in that room that were in that little black book, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
That is
and
very
I
true.
think that might have been his motivation.
I think it just shows society as a whole. We'd rather watch the Golden Globes rather than talk about this very open. It's not a conspiracy. This very open, real thing
it's being
that
investigated.
people are just like,
Just ignoring him.
yeah. Oh, Epstein. It's a funny thing. You know, Epstein didn't kill himself. Ha ha ha. But like, people are kind of forgetting that.
But
Like,
look, like these.
holy shit, guys! Like, this was a big.
There's
fucking
proof.
deal, dude.
There's proof.
There was proof that there is a pedophile, there is human trafficking, and it's happening within some very powerful people in America.
And you're right. You can't even call it conspiracy, because look at even the sources that are writing about it.
Oh, what did we get?
Look
All
at-
right, Alex.
No, I don't want to get into it because it tails into like real conspiracies, and somehow it gets into UFOs and shit. And
Of
that's
course.
just gonna make me sound like super crazy.
Oh,
but I've
of
heard
course.
some shit where I'm
I
like,
don't give a fuck. Let it go.
you know, I'm
Yeah.
like, that sounds possible for sure that the CIA would do what they're saying they did.
I have a book for you to read. Milton William Cooper.
Is it about the Monarch Project?
Oh,
No.
can you stop throwing things around?
Hey. I got excited.
Hey.
Hey. No, it's ex-naval intelligence officer. Released a bunch of things supposedly, and I read his book and it was phenomenal. He talks a lot about aliens.
Have you heard about Wormwood?
Yes. I shouldn't say I've heard about Wormwood. I've watched what Netflix put out about it, but
Yeah, well, I read up a little bit on it too, and you're just like, what?
bro, the CIA is a
fuck?
fucking trip. If you ever just
CIA is fucked up, dude.
the CIA,
Yeah.
yo, this bro, you spend 10 minutes, you just Google CIA and go from that wormhole.
We have proof that the CIA has done
It's
some
done some
fucked up things.
crazy
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, especially in the 70s.
But it's the same thing like you're
Oh
talking
my
about,
gosh.
like Epstein. Like, we have proof that crazy shit goes on, but it's easier for people to just be like,
Ignoring
I'm gonna
it.
go to the movies.
Yeah,
You know,
I'm
like,
gonna go watch a
go
bunch
watch
of
the Golden
snobby
Globes.
people accept an award. So what I think is, so there was a time, and it was actually Nietzsche who actually pointed out, there was a time where like nihilism was kind of taking over, right? And this idea that nothing really mattered. We actually saw this with like the existentialist movement thing, and some of those other guys out there where, you know, they kind of accepted that nothing really matters, but you still try to make something out of it. I mean, that, you know, for like Jean-Paul Sartre, for example, that's literally what he said, right? You know, you take absurdity and you find meaning anyways, right? Blah, blah, blah. So like when Nietzsche was going through, he was like trying to tackle that, right? Like, how do we combat nihilism, that this idea that nothing really matters? And I think we've seen a shift in that, from this idea that nothing really matters to this idea of the number one thing facing the world, the biggest issue facing mankind or humanity is really actually apathy. It's the acknowledgement that things do matter, but we just don't really care.
I think it's partially conditioning. I think the higher ups, the people in control, are trying to bring back that idea of nihilism, nothing really matters, but not to that extent, to the extent that they want us to look where they want us to look. So everything outside of the bubble that they've put in front of us, none of that matters. Only this stuff matters.
creating
And
opinions.
it's I think it's
definitely went a different direction. I like that.
conditioning society, really. Because what happens when you do that? It's just like a magician. You draw someone's attention over here so you can go do this over here. And then, you know,
So
last time
you,
doing
so you
that.
think that we've been more or less conditioned to become used to corruption to where it's like we don't even give a shit anymore?
No, I don't even think it's that. I think it's we've been conditioned to the fact that it's not that we don't care about it. It's we care more about what the Golden Globes are, what's going on in the Golden Globes, what's playing on Netflix, what sport team is winning. Yeah, we've been conditioned to pay attention to the stuff that actually doesn't matter. So in a weird way, it's like nihilism through conditioning. Not because we don't actually care, but because we've been conditioned to
Bro,
believe that.
if you were in charge of naming metal albums, you'd be doing really
Nihilism
good.
through
conditioning. I can already
I'm
hear
gonna make note.
I can already hear the chugging guitars in my head right now.
There's a radio host out of Cleveland in the afternoons, and he literally like one of his like little bits is when they're talking about stuff, he'll just like randomly come up with like metal names for bands, and he'll just put them out on the air. He's like, "All right, here's a band name for you guys. Hope to see you in the concert soon."
Oh yeah, I appreciate that.
No, but I think that's a lot of what it is. I think that's why maybe we've been so divided as a culture too, especially lately and politically, is we've had our attention drawn to these extremist views. But I'm like, I think most of us probably realistically land kind of somewhere in the middle, and a lot of people on the outside have been conditioned that this is what they need to pay attention to, or this is what they need to pay attention to.
That's something I've seen lately is like you said, like as far as the opinions and the ideas that they're pushing, they're as far separating as they can. But I do encounter more people now that are more moderate than anything else, and I think that's going to be, it could potentially be both parties' greatest downfall is when people I mean, it doesn't take a lot to look at the extremes of both parties and think like, this is nonsense, you know, fuck this.
Yeah.
And I think it's, and what's kind of the downfall to it as well is I think it's becoming kind of like cool to be moderate, and so more people are starting to associate with those ideas, but that's also dangerous because I mean that's what happened with the Democratic Party is it was cool to be a Democrat for a while and things, but I don't know. I might be wrong.
Well, my point, to get back to the original,
I don't think you're wrong at
to
all.
get back to that original monologue, what I think what Ricky Gervais was actually really kind of pointing at was, you guys are paying attention to things that don't actually matter, and you're making it such a priority in your life that it's ridiculous, and just kind of putting it out there and kind of roasting everybody for that thought, because it is a little bit ridiculous.
Even roasting the people that are watching at home.
Yeah.
And calling them out. You know, it's like you kept saying, it's 3.5 hours. Why is this 3.5 hours?
Yeah. And why is it even televised, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you can literally have those awards.
Well, that's because humans love pageantry.
Right, exactly. Again, coming back to what really matters, that does not matter.
No.
Yeah.
Does it affect your daily life? I mean, like, unless you work in Hollywood,
No.
and your career is based off that type of stuff.
Yeah, like,
it doesn't
unless you
matter.
work for, like, the Variety or whatever, and you're going to be writing about this tomorrow, like, I can't think of a reason where I'd be like, oh, shit, Sunday night? Like, hold on.
Yeah.
As I used to watch those shows, but anymore, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I mean, there's
the
a
movies
reason
are
why
good,
I don't watch.
You already got my money. You already got my viewers. Like, I've already told
Well, yeah,
you.
the movie itself to me is a little bit
Yeah,
different.
I
You know, like,
appreciate a
if
good
we can
movie.
find something that has like depth, things like that. To actually like a good example of this would actually be the Joker, because Joaquin Phoenix he won an award. He accepted it at the Golden Globes, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a perfect example. Like, did I enjoy the Joker? Absolutely. Did I give a shit about him winning an award or whatever speech he had to talk about with Australia burning to the ground? Yeah, he actually tried. I saw that much.
They say he was pretty toasted when he gave his speech.
He looked ripped.
Well, let's put this into another perspective.
But if I was Joaquin Phoenix, I'd probably be ripped all the time too.
I didn't watch the movie, nor did I see the award show, nor did I
Only
even know
made
it
me
was
watch
happening.
the YouTube clip. It was there in the background while I was doing.
But
whatever the
here's
hell
my
I was doing.
point
All right,
is-
I have to justify why I know this information.
This is me saying
The
I'm
internet's a vast
holier
place.
than thou moment, but I didn't watch the movie, and I didn't watch the award show. Why? Because that has nothing to do with my fucking life.
No.
Literally nothing to do with it. It's escapism, and I choose different outlets for my escapism.
Well,
That is true.
but we all appreciate some form of art in some way, whether it's music, whether it's photography, videography, whatever it is. We all at some point can appreciate art because art in and of itself is very valuable, right? It's either going to grow an idea, it's got to push an idea, it's going to create room for inner monologue or debate. You know, art in and of itself can be good depending on the platform you choose to take it, right? Like if you're going to be like the young British authors and can your own shit, I'm probably not going to find whatever statement you're trying to make because I don't want to buy canned shit, right? But again, there's different levels up to that. You know, again, art can be subjective just because I think it's crap and a lot of other people, majority of people think it's crap. Doesn't mean that it can't be art.
Dude,
right?
I wish
trying to be very
Well,
objective.
I wish we could have recorded the conversation we had camping the other week when we talked about just basically how subjective art is really.
Yeah.
Dude,
But-
that was
I'm
Dude,
taking
I
it back
you
even
guys
further
missed
back
out.
than that.
Yeah.
Because I would talk to you guys hours about what art is and blah blah blah. But I'm looking at it more like even granular than that, which is movies. Yes, they're art, and there's craftsmen that definitely do a good job. But movies are a form of escapism, just like plays are, just like books are. It's to take you out of reality. And I think that kind of goes along with that, like conditioning society, because what you see in those movies, you start to slowly condition the public.
I think there's no. You finish. I'll interject later. Go ahead. Keep going.
Well, I think those movies are a form of conditioning.
some of them, yeah.
Yeah,
I
For
mean,
sure, and I don't know.
you can definitely see the undertones to certain films. And
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there was a documentary on what was his name that wrote The Gray State, and
I hated
Oh,
that movie.
little.
The Gray State never got released. Actually,
No, I mean the documentary.
the documentary.
I
Yeah,
hated that.
I'm not gonna go into like because that might be that probably for the first time is something I'm willing to acknowledge that probably is more of a conspiracy. But like there is a place, yeah, where you know it can be for the conditioning or it can be considered a surrogate
What movie?
activity.
I haven't heard of
I
that.
forget the Gray State.
The Gray Estate.
The Gray State.
Gray State.
Gray State. Just look it up. I'm not going to go too much
There's
into
a
it.
documentary about it.
But it never got released because supposedly the guy went mad, killed his wife, his kid, and then himself.
So you have to search for this documentary.
No,
It's on Netflix actually.
Oh, at least it was.
Oh, that's
I don't
what
know.
Yeah,
it covers.
it-
Okay.
He
I'm
just
sorry,
managed to
I'm
kill,
on the
you
same
know, the
page.
dog, the wife, the family, and then, you know, also shoot himself in the chest or whatever to kill himself. He didn't kill himself. Is my main
Just
point.
like Jeffrey Epstein.
Just like Epstein. But no, my point is, I'm not sure we can label it purely as a form of escape. Is my thing.
Okay.
I think on how you use it can be, but with the opposite spectrum of that, you know, if you're engaging thought and debate and discourse and you're opening yourself up to whatever their point of opinion is, and this is going to tie back to a point that you may actually agree with, is
Well, you know I'll never
It
agree
has-
with you because I have to go the other way just to see
not,
what you say.
shut the fuck up. No, but like my point is like it can be in that realm if you're not watching it for the right reason. If you're like, I'm gonna go see a movie and that was cool, no, it wasn't cool, versus to go into it wanting to see what you want to see, right? So it's kind of like the idea of American politics and this idea of partisanship, right? I'm gonna vote Republican because I'm a Republican, right? You're not really opening yourself up to that inner monologue, right? Like Alex and I are
feel like
probably the furthest thing away from those who might consider themselves, you know, communist, Marxist, socialist, things like that. Yet we've read everything by Karl Marx. We've read a lot from people who consider themselves communist and studied a lot on socialism. Yet we don't actually believe in that, but we engaged ourselves into that inner debate, right? So again, going back to the
Were you
Joker.
also a political science major?
No, I was forensic science master's student.
But you had a class that.
Yeah, we had a class that we had to basically go through all the social
It was with
sciences,
Lonnie, if
basically.
I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, where we basically learned like all the basic main theories for social sciences.
Okay.
So I learned every side of it for the main studies at least, or theories.
Yeah. But, I think there's that idea of, questioning your own beliefs, that you can definitely find real value and meaning in certain things. Like,
But then here comes the question for me, which is, yeah, you can do that. Well, actually, I have two questions, because yes, you can do
Right.
that, but how often do you think people go into a movie theater going, I'm going to have a philosophical debate with myself after watching this movie, and then come out and then have that conversation of thought? Because I'll tell you what, like, I love having these conversations with you, but I go to a movie and I come out and I'm like, cool, I either liked it or I didn't. Like, I don't sit there and try and analyze the movie that I watched.
I do that. I don't, or I'm different. I guess I analyze movies to the fucking T.
yeah, you definitely do. You and I have had many conversations.
As soon as I walk out of a movie, that's about all I can think about for probably a solid 2 hours. Like, I think about every little facet of it, because I always what I think about is how the movie was written. That's what I think about, and what was the writer's purpose for that
like,
film.
if there was meaning to the film, can I find that meaning?
Now, I'm not gonna watch.
Then you're gonna.
I'm not gonna watch like Half Baked with Dave Chappelle and be like,
Right, and that's
what was the meaning behind that?
And that's kind of where that was kind of my second point too, which is okay.
Some movies are just brain dumb.
Yeah, some movies are literally out there. Like if you're going into like a movie like Half Baked, going, I'm gonna have a philosophical debate about this when I'm over watching it, and then you come out. I feel like at that point you're looking for something that's not there, and you may start twisting reality,
Making your own
connections and stuff.
Well, here, why don't we do this? So, first question. All right, summarize the first question for me real quick. Because you just asked a question. Just summarize it real quick.
Do you think that many people actually go into movies coming out with this idea that they're going to analyze that movie philosophically?
So, I mean, I feel like I'm just like beating the tree, but like, didn't we literally just say that one of my opinions is the greatest threat to humanity right now is apathy? So even if a movie actually is trying to make a legitimate point, are people going to actually want to go in there to find that? Because no, they're not. People find that things do matter, but they're not going into it for that.
So even the approach from the writer, director, whatever it may be, is still just falling short, because people are there just to brain dump. They're there just to turn off for a couple hours and watch a movie.
Exactly. You could get somebody who has a legitimate point, a legitimate opinion, and it's either going to be skewed or people are only going to see just barely the surface, right? I mean, look at what's happening with Julian Assange right now. That is a big deal, yet most people don't even know who he is, yet they've seen what he has done, right?
Julian Assange, look him up if you have not.
Yeah, free him, for crying out loud. Help everyone in that area, especially him, that whole group. But, yet everyone has seen what he's done, but yet they've not really looked deep into what he's done,
Yeah.
Well, I don't even know if people have seen what he's done. I think they just hear
They
the
hear
news clip that he released some documents. And I'll tell you, like, if you're a hard rightist and you truly believe in, like, state secrets are a good thing, you're going to look at that and go, fuck that guy. No.
Well, a good example of this is actually Chelsea Manning. So I'm not going to name for his protection. When the camera's off, I'll tell you who it was. You're not going to be surprised. But, like, I posted something on Facebook where I was like, support Chelsea, right? And somebody I knew who is very much along the lines of, fuck the government, was like, no, fuck Chelsea Manning. I was like, why? Oh, because, transgender. I can't agree with that. I'm like, but you can agree with the message, but because of the person, like, I don't have to agree with, like, sure, Chelsea Manning,
that's just
went through a change, right? But like, you're gonna be that shallow that like, oh well, that was once a man, and I don't agree with that.
Yeah,
so
well,
like,
sometimes the message, sometimes the message is
what
the
I'm
media.
saying is like, it's not
I see
What
what
he
you're saying.
Sex,
Yeah.
the sex
I
change.
kind of snapped
Yeah,
at
no,
you.
the
I
sex change
apologize.
itself is
I
not
thought you were coming at
relevant
me.
to
No.
the
It's
circumstances.
You're
but,
right.
But,
You're right.
But yeah, like the message sometimes is the media, you know, and or I might have said that backwards. But when you take something like Chelsea Manning, some people don't even know anything about Chelsea Manning besides the transgender.
They don't know how much
don't.
Chelsea actually did. The things she has sacrificed to get us relevant information on what our government and the military is doing. She made a personal sacrifice, even when she was subpoenaed to testify against Julian and declined it and willingly went back to jail, prison because of that. I mean, people just don't realize, like, this person literally just sacrificed their freedom to give us pertinent information on what's happening internationally with America and the conflicts that we're involved in, right?
Right.
Yeah,
But you make up a good point.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
just-
no, you're right, and I have to say that, like, publicly.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
yeah, but people don't care about the truth in that manner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They care about the fact that, you know, she went against her guidance while she was in, and that's a big no-no. And so that's what people latch onto. It's the thing is people don't look at it so cut and dry. It's an ideological issue where if that's the thing.
We took a break.
We took a break.
Sorry, not sorry.
Anyways, no, we were talking about Chelsea Manning. You had brought up a comment that somebody had made based on them not supporting Chelsea Manning purely based on the transgender thing, not based on an education or just a lack of information regarding on what.
So we're kind of going back to this idea of, you know, what is the root cause of, like, this, like, willful blindness, if you will.
The root cause of the willful blindness, kind of what he was taught. I think I agree with what you said about the conditioning, and I also agree with you where there is a dissociation with it, where some people just watch a movie to watch a movie, and there's no resounding effect from that. But if you look at, like, every facet, news, movies, everything is to shape opinion and condition. And I think that kind of what you had brought up, like, apathy is conditioned in our society. You know, if you were to actually, like, look at a vast, like, array of news sources about what happens just in this country on the day-to-day that you don't see, you'd be fucking blown away.
Yeah. But I think, too...
But we don't... We have this mindset of, it's not affecting me, so I don't care. But it is... I don't know. I could go on about that, I feel.
Well, but an apathetic populace is probably the most easy to control populace. Would you agree?
Yeah.
So, part of me kind of stems like...
There's no need to actually control people if you can just keep them dependent on you.
Yeah,
fat, dumb, and happy.
Yeah. Who was it? Dostoevsky said that.
Yeah.
You know, let them
If
party,
you feed them bread, and the people will never revolt.
Yeah, exactly. Let them party. Let them
yeah,
have
it comes
sex.
back to hierarchy of needs. Who was that? Maslow.
Yeah, maybe. College.
Yeah. We went to college. We studied this.
I'm in college.
I don't remember. But just basically the hierarchy of needs. It's, food, shelter.
You're just almost like talking about like natural law, which I mean, we could probably Thomas Aquinas. Like, we could give credit to a lot of people with that.
But the point is, you meet people's basic needs, and then they don't really seem to care that much until it affects them.
Yeah, if you think about, like, take Flint, Michigan, for example. They didn't have solid, like, drinkable water. They didn't have potable water in a developed country.
Yeah.
It was a big deal, but admittedly, I didn't do shit about it because every time I turn on the faucet, I have drinkable water. Yeah. So, I'm guilty of the same mindset. Like, it doesn't, if it's not directly correlating to me, then fuck do I care? and that's not right.
Yeah.
You know?
No.
Yeah.
And I think this comes back to what we had kind of already talked about earlier, which is like learning how to be a good human being. I think we've kind of lost that in society lately. Just in general, guy,
Well,
girl,
yeah,
whatever.
it's not
doesn't
our
matter.
responsibility. I mean, for crying out loud, you know, that you're even encouraged not to even protect your own home, call the police, right? There's always somebody there. I mean, it's a fallacy, but there's
Right.
always somebody there whose job it is. It's not your
To
job,
do your thing.
right?
Yeah.
But I think it comes back down to like we as a society don't train our young people either to be good citizens.
Good
Is it-
people, like not even
either-
citizen, just like a good person.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
good person. And this weirdly comes back to Seth's whole point about religion and even Jace's from the last one. But religion, whether you believe in it or not, isn't really the point, I think, that is in. It's not what's endowed on society, it's the actions that come from that as a consequence of being religious. Typically, if you actually follow the Bible, you treat people right, ultimately.
Yeah.
Now,
The
you can take it to the
Christians
left
have
or the right.
a lot of room for improvement.
Well,
Yes.
I think a lot of
But I get
religions
what
do.
you're saying as far as what you're taught, like what the actual teachings of the Bible are. Like it gives you it's intended to give you a good moral compass.
Yeah,
You know,
And I think-
do unto others as you would unto yourself.
yeah, and I think with this apathetic society we have now, we've lost that moral compass just in general, and it doesn't have anything to do with religion. I only bring it up because they just have a very like structured moral compass that they kind of lay out that you're supposed to follow. Now people skew that, but I think in general society is missing that. And I think, and I'm speaking from this as a kid who grew up listening to emo music with, don't get me
Amen,
wrong,
brother.
I love my father to death, but I don't know if my father taught me all the best ways to be a man. And when you listen to emo music, if that's your only source of guidance, you're just thinking like, oh, it's okay to be a whiny bitch all the time, and it's okay to be that way. And you know, it's not. It isn't. It's not good for you. It's not good for
Those are
any
key notes,
relationship
Chad. You
you're
gotta make
in.
sure you get that.
But it's weird because me and Chad even talked about this earlier, where it's like, even with that realization, we still like the
Alex
music.
Radisher.
Yeah,
January 11th, 2020.
Hey, sure.
yeah.
Oh, my apology.
But that, I mean, what do you guys think of that? Because I think honestly, our society right now, and this isn't about the Me Too movement. This is about young men learning how to be men, and not these whiny little bitches.
No, I have.
Try to accommodate everybody without standing up for themselves, without pursuing something in their life that's going to give them purpose, and then wanting to blame it on everybody else.
I do see it that there is a softening of the way that young men are raised, and I think a prime example of this. I talk about this a lot, but like I look back at the wrestling coaches that I had in high school. They would be in prison today.
Yeah.
I will not mention them by name, but they used to, and I deserved it. I was an awful child, you know. I needed discipline, and they put hands on me. Like they fucked me up more than once.
Mm-hmm.
I needed that. I'm not saying you should go out and beat kids, but you need
What
that
you're
could
getting
not
at-
exist
what-
today.
What you're getting at is people are afraid to instill discipline
Yes.
in our children.
Yes, they
And
are.
it doesn't even have to come from a beating. Maybe yours did because that's how you learn.
Yeah.
But maybe someone else's is like true discipline. Like, oh, I'm afraid to take his cell phone away, or I'm afraid to take his laptop away, or whatever. Like, no.
Yeah. No,
Let-
children need
discipline.
discipline.
Yeah, you're not there to be their best friend.
You can't let them run shit because
Well, yeah, now it's all
Then-
the state disciplines. you
yeah, and
child.
the state has involved themselves in discipline, and that's a huge fucking
Yeah.
debacle in and of itself.
I mean, I don't know. I guess I get into like this, I don't know, debate of what is a man, you know, because like when I take Pauline and I's marriage, you know, realistically, I'm actually the more feminine one, you know. I am the one who, when there's an issue, I bring it up, and I want to actually discuss it with her.
But I think that is being a man. Because what you're doing is you're not hiding your feelings, or you're not hiding your thoughts, you're expressing them.
Well, that's almost a whole nother conversation. That in and of itself, men are ingrained to have the stereotype to be the ones that don't bring stuff up, that keep themselves reserved.
And that's what I mean is like we as humans tend to take things to like we like to polarize things, and we like there's not a whole lot in the middle, and we can see this through our justice system, our political system. We can see this with our kids. We can see this throughout history, right? Where I'm the man, so you as the woman, blah blah blah, right? You can kind of see this polarization where people aren't really finding that middle ground of like, here's the responsibility as me as a man, but like it doesn't this idea of a man doesn't define I have to behave this way, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. No, I think when I say being a man, I don't think I'm saying necessarily masculine qualities. What I'm saying is being a man to me is like stepping up, doing the right thing, not being afraid to pursue something that's your passion, that brings your life purpose, not being afraid to communicate with other people that you care about and show that you love them, however that may be. Now, maybe they take on a feminine looking characteristic, but the point is it serves you as a man to take care of the people around you, to bring passion to your life so you can bring passion to someone else's life, your partner. And that, that, because that doesn't have to be, you know what I mean? Like, that can be, you can be in a feminine role but still be a man.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. Like, if we're talking about just how there's like a miseducation of what being a man is, that's part of it, because we have a very stereotyped version of what a man is, and it's, chop down trees, and like there's certain characteristics that you think about, working on the truck, doing this, things like that. That's not that. Sure, those are skills to have, but those aren't gender related at all. You can be a female and work on a fucking car.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. Where being a man is, it's not based in these abilities. It's more based in your understanding,
your character.
Yeah, your character, exactly. And we definitely we have a severe lack of character,
for sure.
You even see it I think we have an even bigger issue with confidence. You see most young men these days don't have a lot of confidence,
and that's kind of where I'm, where that whole emo music came up for me. It was like, you listen to that and it's like whining about a girl, and like it just, whether or not you realize it, it's kind of like building in some like self-doubt in your own mind.
Yeah.
Like these songs are like, I'll never be happy without you, you're the only one. Like, that's not true. And then why are we preaching this to our young kids who are,
Yeah, no, it definitely preaches or promotes low self-esteem.
Yeah.
For sure. But at the same time, you can't associate music to it's the same, gangster rap made me do it, but I get what you're saying, like.
Yeah, well, it builds up that thought in your head. It's not that it made you do it,
but it's the inkling. It's there.
Yeah. Well, I definitely think maybe I should have expanded on what I was trying to say. I definitely think because we as humans tend to find the extremes and not really like a middle ground. I think we've seen an attack on this traditional idea of what is considered masculinity because of that. We were able to define roles, but then we may have pushed it a bit too far. With that being said, I do think it's the same damn thing on the opposite side, like mansplaining. Or manspreading is a good one. Like, well, yeah, if you got balls between your legs and you didn't want to crush them, you might sit with your legs a little wide too. But hey, whatever. If that offends you, well, you're going to find something to be passionate about, But I think maybe that's where we're starting to lose it from, is because, again, we as human beings tend to just like to go to the extreme, right?
Right, and I think that kind of comes back to, again, with like a Me Too movement, and there are definitely women out there who have suffered some stuff that they should never have suffered, basically because of a lack of character and on the man's side. But I think, too, people sometimes forget that it's a two-way street. You have to have character on both sides, female or male. It doesn't matter what your gender, what your sex is, how you associate yourself. It's about having good quality character. And I think right now, to me, when I see political divides on both sides of those, I'm not sure I see quality character on either side.
No.
And I think that's another reason why this huge divide has been allowed to spread, is because people are substituting political views for character, their own character. They're saying, well, I don't need character, I'm just going to follow this ideation.
Yeah, I'm going to follow, not even the idea, I'm going to follow this party. And whatever ideas they want to have, fuck it, they have good character in my eyes because they're part of this party.
Yeah, you see that partisanship come back into play.
Well, and partisanship is just nuts to me.
It's absurd.
It's the, like...
Yeah.
It...
I'm sorry, but voting just because they're Republican or
and
supporting,
it's such a fucked up idea of even like this free idea of voting. Like, you're gonna give us basically two options because we all know that the moderate one you're giving us is not gonna do dick, and you're telling us, here you go, decide. Like, fuck, I don't know, man, fuck that shit.
Yeah. So let me kind of bring this back, because the reason I'm even bringing this up is because I had a realization in my own self over the years, realizing like I didn't, I may have taken on some masculine roles and stuff, but fundamentally I didn't have the character of a true man. So I've been trying to build that into myself, again, by reading and learning and stuff like that. But let's take this back a little bit, and there's definitely some things I think that were wrong in maybe like the 50s, 60s, 70s, and raising children, but I think there's some good points in what they were trying to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think we can do to help build more character in our society? Like, for example, for me, I'm thinking, one of the reasons why Boy Scouts was a good thing, take away the Christian, the religious background, the point is you were instilling in young children skills, and they were learning those skills and performing them on their own, which built confidence in themselves. You were also putting them in a place where they had to work with other people and teaching them how to have character and work as a group and stuff like that. So I think something like Boy Scouts was a good thing for society.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, because a lot of the skills you're talking about are learned through discipline. Like, even take starting a fire for the first time, for example. Like, it's not an easy task.
No.
And you learn through the discipline of trying again to do that. I would say that, like, to make a change, to instill something new into a new generation of young men, is we have this idea that, like, your insecurities and things like that are supposed to just be buried and just not dealt with. As a man, you just take everything and just put it right there.
Yep.
And especially insecurities and things, that needs to be done away with, to where, like, men have this idea where they don't need to talk about things and they need to bury it. Like, I understand, like, there needs to be a certain level of, like, I'm gonna carry on and fucking keep going. But I think just a level of deeper communication amongst men is something that would go a long way.
And I think that's something we all share here, which is, I won't explain why, but I've definitely called you up before because I truly needed help in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And not being afraid to call up a friend and have them be there and not judge you, or like, we like to razz each other for sure, but knowing when the time to not do that, like, that's really important too.
Well, and we're all blessed in the group of friends we have. I feel like as far as like having a like, I don't know if I'd call it a safety network, but like people that you can communicate with. I would never be afraid to share anything with either of you two. I mean, everybody needs that, and that's kind of what we keep talking about. Is there shouldn't be this. Some things are not gender defined at all. Like, you needing help or you needing to communicate with somebody, it's never a sign of weakness. It's never a sign of that would be the change I would like to make, is to show that opening yourself up is actually a sign of strength rather than perceived as weakness. But that's deeply embedded in humans. That'd be crazy.
Well, what's even crazier about that too is, like, they say, if you want to build a stronger connection with or in a relationship with somebody, it's not to do something for them, it's to ask them for help. And then that other person will actually feel a stronger connection to you because they know they've invested in you.
Yeah.
Empathy is dead, or pretty damn close to dying. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm hearing this, and I'm not thinking, what does it take to build a strong man, as much as I'm hearing, what does it take to build a strong person.
Right.
I'm not hearing that this should be exclusive to the idea that, men and women, like women could do X things to get a particular skill set that a woman should have, and men can do X things. We're kind of just talking and saying, look, you as a human being can do certain things to become a better person.
And I think that's ultimately what I was getting at. I was just coming from the point of view of like, I realized in myself I wasn't being the best character I could be.
Right.
And how do I fix that? What do I need to do to fix that?
Right. I do think that there is this, and I hate that you have to even walk so careful with it, but like, I want to be a better man. I mean, that could quickly get you in an argument.
Absolutely.
Like,
what do you mean you want to be?
Yeah, what do you mean? Like, so you're saying men have to? Like, I'm saying me as a man. I am a man.
And I want to be better.
And I want to be better, like, you have to do that. But, with that being said, like, if the idea for you as a man, or whatever you want to consider yourself, that is probably the only controversial thing I'm willing to say is, well, there are men and women.
So controversial. Science.
Two genders. At the end of the day, if you want to call yourself whatever you want to call yourself, that's cool. Hey, good.
I don't give a damn.
Yeah, but ultimately there are men and women, and
well, then
that's
for
it.
our
But,
PC audience, what we're really saying is, yes, how do you become a better human being?
But if the idea,
but no, that is cool that's what your question evolved into, because really, the issues we have, or what I'm seeing from this conversation, is not, we're lacking as men, we're lacking as people, as a cult, like everything is just, I think we're just self-centered.
Well, we've become so dependent on, somebody else to do it for us that we keep going back to this idea of moral compass, having character. We're not relying on ourselves or our parents to do that. We're relying on some greater external force. But ultimately, if the idea for you as a man is to become better at knitting, sewing, makeup, whatever the case is, okay, cool, go and do that, right? But ultimately, what's going to better you and the world and the people around you? What transferable skills do you have to help somebody else's life get better, right? I mean, we brought up this idea of empathy, right? Empathy is a dying art. People don't know how to bring themselves down to somebody else's level and try to actually put themselves in their shoes, right? I was watching this one, it was like a TED Talk, but it was actually pretty good. Where it's like, somebody would be like, well, my kid's failing school. Well, at least the other one's getting straight A's. Thanks for the talk, dude. Appreciate you, man. You dozed that one real quick, instead of me actually sitting here being able to tell you, like, help me, as Kevin Hart would say.
Well, I think the other thing too is it's not, like, one of the things I tried to do when I was trying to like build up my better, become a better man, person, entity, soul, was, you guys know about me falling off the mountain, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so
that was
after that, it scared me, so I started,
No.
Yeah. It was scary. Falling off a mountain and not remembering it is even scarier.
Yeah.
Falling off a mountain, not remembering it, waking up in a snowstorm is even scarier.
The scary
I can only write so much.
Yeah. The point is, it was a lesson in how quickly things can go really wrong, and when you are, left to your own devices, where, guess what? You don't have cell phone service everywhere. Guess what? The ambulance isn't coming to save your ass.
I think we can all agree that as human beings, the greatest skill, one thing I think everybody should be able to agree on, the greatest skill is knowing how to survive.
Yes.
Right.
Just
So
like
basic, like
survival.
I rolled my ankle. Some people don't even know if like they rolled their ankle in the woods. Like, I'm stuck.
yeah,
You know?
this is where I die. You know, like
That is not to go off on an entirely different tangent, but we have lost that entirely.
I'm telling
Right.
you, man, we've
So-
become so dependent. Like some of these skills, like I'm sure if we were to take this entire podcast and come up with universal,
Things you need to learn.
universal skills founded in natural law, we can all agree you need to be able to have these as a human being, and depending on whether you're a man or a woman and your body type, you know, what are you actually going to take on? Like, for example, in a real life scenario, guess who's going to be doing the lifting and guess who's going to be healing you? I'm going to be doing the lifting. Pauline, as a nurse and a natural caring person, is going to be the one actually healing you, right? Like, there's these skills.
Kind of comes back to where I was going to go with this, which was after that, it was scary, and I learned, like, oh shit can go wrong like that in Colorado, in the mountains. So I spent the next 2 years, every time I would go out, I would try a new survival skill. That's how I learned about fire beds. That's how I learned how to build my own shelters.
Yep.
You know, now when I go out, I'm lazy with camping, but I know I can do it because I've done it and I taught myself how to do it. And what came with teaching myself how to do that was a sense of pride in myself as a person and a sense of accomplishment, which just that gave me confidence in other areas of my life where, you know, things that I'm not the best at. Like, I'm just naturally not great at talking to strangers. But when I was doing these skills, you know, that built a confidence in myself, and that confidence made it easier to talk to strangers for myself. So I think it's stuff like that where you go out and you teach yourself these things, whether or not you actually need them. I live in Denver. I don't need to know how to start a fire, but I do.
Yeah.
And that gave me confidence because I could do it. And you know what else gave me confidence was the fact that I failed a lot at most of this stuff, but I kept doing it until I got it. So I taught myself perseverance, which also gave me confidence.
Well, and like you said, you know, there's a sense of accomplishment and pride that goes into something like this, and when you don't have anything in your life that is rewarding like that, you don't understand the feeling, because truly accomplishing something that you wanted to, like, I don't think there's a high that exists quite like that. Like, even if it's just something like you did, like the first time you slept through the night on a fire bed and you were freezing your dick off, but you woke up and you were like, I did that.
If you haven't, you need to go. I don't care if it's a parking camp kind of situation, all right? You're going to go out in the winter
And survive.
on your own with no tent, and you're going to stay the night, even if it's just one night.
Can we all agree that I think one of the reasons
If any of you do this and die, we're not fucking responsible.
Yeah. You need to have you need to make sure you're covering your bases, all right?
We
Don't
are-
just go out there
Use
without
some
doing
common
some
sense.
research, all
Use
right?
some
Don't
common
Be
sense.
prepared.
Don't just
all right?
plop out of your car and go to sleep.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you do it, you're doing that to your own risk.
Yeah.
But
I'm
the
not
point is,
responsible
can
for
I
shit.
also say that one of the magical parts of winter camping versus every other type of camping, it is not enjoyable in and of itself.
Nope.
What's enjoyable is the morning when you wake up and you go home
That
and you
sense
go,
of
I
accomplishment.
survived through that.
Yep.
I know that if my car breaks down on the side of the highway, I will survive the night.
Well, and I in a sense, I disagree with that. Like, when you when you're by yourself, yeah, I agree with that. But if you go winter camping like we do sometimes, like in a group, that camaraderie there is camaraderie through suck that is bar none.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're out there just like, this fucking sucks, but like you're making light of it, you know, that's an accomplishment in and of itself.
Yeah.
But I think with that camaraderie, you're also building up each other because you all know now, if I had to, I could do this on my own.
Yep. I remember it was like, when was it? I think it was just before you and I became like real friends. It was like my sophomore year of college. Literally just, I didn't even bring a car. I literally had somebody drive me up to the land and just like leave me. And I was like, I hope you're back by this time tomorrow, you know, like literally I'm going to be out here. I'm going to have to survive. No tent, no nothing. And I did not, that was not when I was like where I am now, where I actually have equipment. I'm talking like I showed up with like a fucking blanket and a tarp.
Oh my
You're just
god.
like, all right.
I've learned a lesson. So the worst night I've ever had was me and my buddy Jarv went and camped in the base of the Tetons in January. And it got to negative 33 degrees.
Yep.
It's a whole long story, but the point was 2 people actually died that night. We heard it on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
And when we woke up with probably 15 minutes to spare before we legitimately had frostbite, and we got home, it was one of those like, holy fuck, like, that wasn't just like hard, that was legitimately lethal. People died that night when we were camping, and we survived it.
Yep. It was the same with an old friend of mine. I mean, that's when I knew that I had room for improvement. Was we went up to Palmer Lake in the dead of winter, and I had a hoodie and a sleeping bag that was rated for the lowest at 40 degrees. So I had a summer sleeping bag, no winter equipment at all, and it was so much snow we couldn't get a fire going. And now here's the fucked up thing is I came into this pretty much wearing summer clothes. Like I said, I literally walked in with a hoodie, right? And we're talking
That's fine.
where it was getting negative degrees that night. My friend, who was an experienced camper and hunter, had a bunch of stuff. So I couldn't sleep that night because I was too cold, you know, and he was all nice and toasty in his bag and everything like that, you know. And that was when I realized, because like, probably not as extreme as your situation, but it was bad enough to where I was like, I'm not going to make it through the night. Like, and you can't sleep when you're that cold, you know.
I don't know. I think the first time I experienced like truly cold feet, like when you're just like you can't think of anything else besides how fucking cold your feet are, that's when I was like, I'm investing in so much fucking gear.
Right? And that's what happens too.
You learn.
Yeah,
you learn.
You go through it one time and then you'll know
Like, bro,
what it's like to be cold and scared.
Like when I go camping now, I see the stuff I bring compared to what I used to bring. I'm like, you're retarded. Like you were stupid because now I will not get cold. Like I will tell Mother Nature to fuck off. I'm gonna be toasty all night. Like,
dude, I'm telling you, man. Like last time we went,
I was.
I literally was so warm, but like I had a down sleeping bag. And I was like, it's going to get like, it was single digits, if not in the negatives at some point.
Yeah, well, during the night, it crept into the net. When we woke up, it was only like, what, 9 degrees? Like,
when we woke up, it was about 6, and it bumped up to 9 by the time.
It was cold.
The point is, if you're going to go winter camping, don't make that your first trip.
Yeah.
At all.
And make sure you experience a cold night outside of winter, and that's all you need.
For some of you, just sit on your porch for a while.
Yeah.
Honestly, that would do you well.
Yeah, if you're cold on that porch, imagine what it's going to be like out there. Yeah.
Go sit on your porch for 1 hour.
Let's kind of turn this to like maybe trying to solve America's problems. What do we just had this conversation about building up a better character as yourself. Like, let's come up with 5 things that we think we can make recommendations for anybody out there to try and do that will help build their character.
The 5 steps.
The 5 steps to becoming a better human.
Dude.
Yeah.
The 5 steps is step 1.
The 5 steps. I like that.
So I think we're already established one skill that you need, and that's survival
skills. And that's broad, but
it is.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's list a few of those for people.
So sub
fire.
points, start a fire. Learn how to be warm in cold weather.
Be prepared to walk for a long time.
I think that's
if you don't have water, do you know?
Let's
safe?
get back.
Do you know how
let's
to
get back
filter
to
it?
just that walking one. I think because if something happens and you maybe need to get out of Dodge, like how far do you think we should set a goal for people to walk?
My second point is just gonna come right into this. Fucking exercise. If you're not exercising,
damn right.
Start doing it. Like
let's
it's simple as that.
Right, but let's take it to let's go to the walking because that could be something that could actually save your life. If
yeah.
You have
well,
to get
and I want to actually expand off of that. To your point, exercise does not mean I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to get my back day, I'm going to get my chest day, I'm going to get my leg day. That's not fucking exercising. Being on the bench 315 pounds is not shit if you can't pull yourself out of a burning car. All right. Can you even fucking do a pull up?
Or walk up a
Prac-
mountain. If there's a
Or
flat
can you
flood,
walk 5
yeah.
hours with a backpack on your back?
Yeah.
Right.
Practical fitness.
Practical
Now,
fitness.
if you are out there and you're competing and benching 3,000 pounds,
Sorry,
dope.
guys.
Yeah.
Dope.
Take what I say with a grain of salt.
No, it's.
I think we're talking
we're talking
societal
Instagram
level.
models that are like.
Well, I think we're also
Instagram models have ruined a lot of what fitness should be.
But I think what I'm getting at here
Don't
is
be an
like
Instagram.
in terms to building a better character. Because I'm talking
Yeah.
to average Joe out there.
Yeah.
Like, cool, if you are doing that, great. You're
It's almost
getting
like this like
exercise, but-
fundamental.
Go out and walk around the woods.
Yeah.
It's
so,
almost like this
what-
fundamental idea of like you need to be able to experience pain and failure,
Yeah, you do.
and that's going to
you
come
know
back
what?
to the idea of fitness.
That's my number.
survival.
That's my number 3. Is do something you will fail at, and then do it again. I think you should invest in finding something you fail at,
Yeah.
because that will teach you perseverance, and that will build your confidence. Because you know it's nice if you can go out and do something and you get it the first time, cool. But that doesn't help you if you fail at something in the future.
Yeah, a confidence boost comes from failing and then doing
succeeding.
it.
Yeah.
There's
So-
there's nothing in the world that feels better than that.
Yeah, so I'm saying for number 3, find failure and then achieve what you were trying to,
Yeah.
what you failed at.
Mine kind of correlates with you. My third one is have a hobby. Like
Yeah.
and like watching Netflix or that's not a fucking hobby. Like have something that you do even and I had to find this for myself. I had to get a hobby outside of the gym. Because the gym became more of a routine and less of not less of an outlet, but I needed something else. And you know whatever it is, if you want to build model airplanes, that'll still give you the same. You know, you experience
and
failure.
It's a
and
lot different than what you would. Because to your point, when I go to the gym, or I'm camping, or I'm at the range, or whatever it is, to me, I see those all the same. That to me is all the same. So when we say like hobby, like play video games, go get into cars.
I think video games are great for mental stimulation.
They actually really are. There's
Like
lots
you
of
know,
studies
and
out there.
it's like anything else in moderation. Don't sit there and play video games for 40 fucking hours. But I do think that
And if you are gonna do that though, just
Get good.
start like Twitch streaming.
Yeah, make some money.
Make it a living.
Yeah,
at that
make
point,
some
all right?
money.
Yeah.
more power to you.
Yeah.
But no, like if you really think about video games, they're just moving puzzles.
Yep.
You know, and if you stimulate your brain in that way for a while, shit, I still have a Nintendo 64. I still play Zelda, like just because of the it's all stupid little puzzles and shit.
Oh yeah.
All right. So, what's number 4?
I didn't even get to that. I'm on number 2 because everything else I just put as subcategories.
Well, I'm sorry, we're not good enough to give you better points.
All right. So
I'm sorry.
all right.
What's
Well,
your
what
number
are your
three?
points?
Yeah, what's your
Sean?
number 2 then?
I got survival skills and experience pain and failure.
So what's your 3? You got to come up with CJ's 3.
Well, what do you guys have?
I have find failure, practical fitness, and survival skills.
Well, see, under survival skills, I put practical fitness underneath that.
I have survival
Okay.
skills, exercise,
That's a
and then
subcategory to me.
Yeah. Okay.
I-
I'll agree with that.
I linked in experience, pain, and failure in with exercise, and then I just have hobbies.
But see, I think there's 2 different types of pain and failure.
True.
And I think you need to find a mental pain and failure, and you need to find a physical pain and failure.
I agree with that.
Because you need to find out what physically what your limits are. Because this, I can tell you for sure, and I think we all know this. Obviously, I used to be active, not anymore. But
Still
the point is,
beautiful,
the point is, and you guys know this as well. If I were to go out and try and do like, maybe my 45-mile bike rides right now, I would be in deep shit. Physically, I could get into like a seriously bad situation. So the point is to find that physical pain and failure because you know what your limits are.
Yeah.
And don't be stupid about it because again, you can get yourself into trouble.
We've done
So-
some stupid stuff before.
Yeah.
We found that limit, but
Yeah.
like, could we have done it in a more constructive way? Probably.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
also in a way, do that shit, man. I mean, be young and stupid in that way, you know.
Well,
There's knowledge that comes from it.
That's true.
Just be smart.
When I fell off,
ultimately.
that's
Don't
what-
do drugs.
Don't do drugs.
That's what happened. When I fell off a mountain, that was like a dumb shit thing. But I learned so much
Yeah.
from not having shoes, not having gear, not having any way to start a fire, not exactly knowing where I was, not telling anybody where I was, being above tree line for multiple hours,
Yeah.
falling, not remembering it, like still don't actually know what happened. I just know that I fell roughly 70 feet because that's how high I climbed back up to the trail.
Well, kind of relating to what you were saying, one of my points is maintenance. You know, like you had said, like if you were to hop on a bike and do 45 miles right now, it might be a pretty swift kick in the dick.
Yeah.
Not to say that you couldn't do it, because there is a certain thing to be said about the human spirit and muscle memory. Like
sure.
you can almost accomplish anything, but a steady level of maintenance to where if you do find yourself in that situation, you can keep going. And that even goes into like mental maintenance, because I feel like a lot of times we accomplish something and we get that high off of it and we become stagnant.
That's
you need to
100%
always
true.
keep like a mental maintenance.
Here's
if you
the
will.
thing though, and this is what my dilemma was, and maybe other people are like this, I don't know. I think I have an addictive personality. But when I was like actually had my six pack, I was going to CrossFit 2 to 3 times a week. I was working out 3 times a week every morning, 4 times a week every morning with Micah for a half hour. 3 days a week I would go above tree line and hike with a 100-pound bag. And then 2 days a week I would ride my mountain bike. I was overly doing it because I was actually actively trying to find my breaking point, and I couldn't find it. When it came to stamina, like when it just came to just straight, I can do this all day long stamina, I could not find my breaking point.
Yeah, that's cool.
Well, the point I'm getting at was, I think it got to a point where it was unhealthy. I was chasing the dragon. Because I wanted to experience that failure, and I couldn't find it without it actually being like, this could be really hazardous.
But everybody chases some kind of dragon in life, and if that's the one you want to chase, then
make it a constructive dragon, all right? Don't be
get
that dragon of like, I'm gonna be TikTok famous or some bullshit.
No, but like, because I've been through that. I remember there was a time where, dude, I was working out 3 times a day. I was kind of the same way. I wanted to see what my body physically could take. And as cliche as this sounds, the inspiration for it for me was I was watching a Joe Rogan podcast, and they were talking about their exercises for Sober October.
Yeah.
And Joe Rogan had basically said that. He was like, I'm interested to see what my vessel is capable of entirely. And I just thought that was really cool. But you do damage yourself, definitely,
right.
for sure.
Well, I think I had this moment of clarity where I remember one of the days I went hiking. It was a Friday night, and I went up above tree line. And this day I didn't actually carry like a huge loadout. It was just a day pack. And I was standing on top of Mount Spalding, and it was gorgeous as a photographer. If you guys are photographers, you'll know that the sunlight is so much brighter than moonlight, so your exposures are usually completely different for one or the other. And I was standing on top of this peak looking out towards the Frisco Basin, and on the right hand side was the setting sun, and on the left hand side was a full moon, and they were equally bright. And it was super eerie because you could see the mountains, and they were lit from both sides equally, and I was like, this is gorgeous, this is beautiful, I've never seen anything like this. And the thought that popped into my head was, well, I know Frisco's that way, and the Dillon Reservoir is over there. I bet I can make it by Sunday. I didn't have a map, I didn't have a compass, I barely had any water, no food. I had a rain jacket and a pair of pants and hiking boots. And my thought was, in no doubt in my mind could I make it there.
So,
what scared me
like your thought is sort of what you did to us over at Elder Fame.
What?
Yeah, I remember. Alex, we're not on the trail anymore. No, we're on the trail. If not, it's an adventure.
Yeah.
8 hours later.
8 hours later.
Oh, Micah always hates that. My favorite phrase, for those who don't know, is it's just right over there.
Yeah. As I'm carrying my 1-year-old 9-pound dachshund, my wife, joke's on him because
You'd have made a fine
I
lieutenant.
thought I thought Alex was gonna do some dumb shit like this, so I actually brought food.
Yeah.
I was like, Alex may want to wander off the trail and get us lost. So I downloaded a map of the area on my phone, because I knew we were going to lose cell service, and I brought enough food for Pauline and I to be able to eat
To be
once.
fair, you were the one who decided to take the trail that took us in the wrong direction. I just went along with it because I didn't care.
Well, yeah, when I said, guys, we're off the trail, let's turn back, you said, no, let's keep going.
That part was my fault.
I mean, it did turn out. How many miles did we hike?
We averaged it. We went out for what was supposed to be like a 4.5 mile loop, and it turned into like 15.6.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
It was a good day.
15.6.
It was a good day.
It was pretty cool. Severely underprepared.
But we weren't, because we survived.
We did survive.
Feet may have been tired. May have been thirsty.
Near the end, though, you and Pauline were done.
Oh, I was toasted. I
Yeah.
remember because I asked Pauline, I was like, hey, Pauline,
It's a long
this
way.
happens to me every once in a while, but when I'm carrying like a backpack and I hike for a really long time, is it weird that I can't feel my fingers anymore? She's like, well, it's not totally unusual, but you should probably put your hands above your head or your heart for a second.
We do have an amazing picture with our initials carved into a tree.
Yeah, we did carve.
That's so sweet.
It was.
I think I have pictures of it.
We did. We were
Yeah.
hugging.
It was amazing.
I wish I could have been there for that.
Yeah.
You missed out, for sure.
Yeah. Pauline took the picture for us.
It was a very special moment.
It took us a second too,
The
because
only
that
thing
wood
that
was
could have
not
bonded us
smooth.
more is if we had a child together.
In that moment, yes, I would agree with that.
Dude,
Unless
you guys
physically-
you guys look so similar that if
You
you,
know
were
what's-
to create a child, it would just be like,
I took a photo of CJ one time wearing his glasses and his beanie, and at that time I was wearing my glasses, which looked very similar to his, and he was wearing a beanie that looked very similar to mine, and I posted that photo on Facebook, and I 30 seconds later got a text message from my mom saying, Alex, you look so nice today. And I'm like, Mom, that's not me, that's CJ.
Wow, that actually sucks. You're like, damn, Mom, thanks.
that's not even your child.
But in all honesty, I looked at it, I'm like, he's wearing a flannel shirt, I'm wearing a flannel shirt. He's wearing a beanie, I'm wearing a beanie. He's got scrub, I got scrub. He's got glasses, I got glasses. I'm like, except for the height difference, which you couldn't tell because I wasn't in the photo as well, like, he does look like me. And I look like
way shorter.
Yeah. This was like 4 years ago, not now. I obviously
It's just more love.
we've gotten more voluptuous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So,
I'm sorry, we kind of got off topic here, but
Yeah, we did.
another one, I guess my fifth one, would be to, that is just a lovely picture.
Isn't
is
it
such a
beautiful?
lovely
Look at
picture.
Do you see our initials in the stump?
I do. At what point of the hike was this?
Actually,
early.
pretty early on.
I thought
we
so.
we would not have been as
Chipper.
jubilant if
Look
you
at
will.
these faces of like, we're about to go hike 4 miles, and at the end they're like,
Yeah, we didn't have such a cavalier attitude about it after the fact.
I like
Yeah.
that picture though. That's beautiful.
Yeah, it is beautiful. I mean, the rest of it turned out to be really good. I mean, we got a ton of hiking pictures. Most of it is me carrying Nico because he was too tired.
That happens.
Yeah. People looked at us like we were stupid every time because we would stop, pull open the phone, just be like, "Where the hell are we?" And people would be like, "I mean, you're in a national forest." Because like we got to the point where like we were, like, you weren't supposed to be able to get to the reservoirs where we were, but we were there. And like we were
Yeah.
constantly pulling up, like we have no idea where we are. And people are like,
The best
"Daily, the
part-
parking lot's right over there." Like, not our parking lot, asshole.
Dude, there was one time that, so this was right after the Waldo Canyon fire.
Mm-hmm.
And for
For those of you who don't know, look it up. It sucked.
Colorado
Yeah.
liked to burn the ground for a
Yeah.
while.
So there's an area in Colorado, Garden of the Gods, and part of that was, well, most of it was on fire. And afterwards, there was heavy rainfall, and it washed out a lot of the hiking trails severely that you were able to go on. They actually made it illegal to hike to this area called the Punch Bowls, and that's where I hiked right after the fire. I'm not gonna say his name. He was like, yo, let's go break the law and go hiking. And I was like, all right, cool. And dude, they made this dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life. There is a massive fence in front of where you could go to the punch bowls. But they built it in a canyon, so you just walk around it. Like, you're like, cool. Like, but anyways, that hike, we were about halfway through it, and I was like, oh, I understand why it's illegal to hike back here now, because it was fucking treacherous, and I had nothing on but, like, boat shoes. I fell in a fucking creek. I lost my phone.
Oh, I remember this.
Like, dude, it was the most treacherous. We were like just climbing on the side of rocks above creeks at one point. Like, it was fucking insane. But we made it, and I lost my phone still.
That's another thing. If we're talking about survival skills, this is one thing I want you to pay attention to, especially if you're doing mountain shit. Bag awareness. Know how fucking big the bag on your back is. Because it is really easy to turn around on a narrow chute, bump the wall, and knock yourself over a cliff.
Mm-hmm.
Or knock somebody else over.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you have a big bag, fucking practice bag awareness. Just walk around your house with it for an hour or two. Seriously.
Basically what he's saying is join the army, and they'll teach you how to walk around with a bag.
But
Don't
you'd be
do that.
surprised. Like,
Don't
seriously,
join
if you don't grow up doing that,
Yeah.
that's a skill that you don't realize that you need to until you're out with somebody who doesn't have
I mean,
that skill.
that's sort of like going to the practical fitness. I mean, you don't know how big it is, how much it gets in the way, nor do you know how hard it is to actually carry that bag.
For
Like,
that
that
long.
is a different skill set to
And it's
have.
a perishable skill. Like,
Yeah, if you don't do it, you lose it.
yeah, it hurts to walk around with a heavy bag for a long time. Like, after a while, you're just like, this is the dumbest goddamn thing I've ever done in my life. Like, fuck all of this nonsense.
I mean, that is such a practical skill. Like,
We've definitely got
go to the dog park and put 40 pounds in your backpack while you're out walking your
Yeah.
dog, and you're going to realize, like,
Exactly.
how much you're
I had-
not prepared.
I had a friend that he used to just wear his rucksack like through his day-to-day life when he would get ready to do things that required that, and so that he was basically just training himself to always be in pain.
That's basically what I was doing.
Don't do
with,
that, you'll be crazy.
Yeah. Well, I did that. So I had
Crazy.
when I was doing like all that crazy workout stuff and I was chasing my dragon, I bought a 20-pound weight vest that I wore to work every day. And then I bought a 40-pound weight vest that I wore to work every day. And then I bought an 80-pound weight vest that I wore to work twice. Because
I mean, I'm
it was a
guilty of
bitch
that.
to put that over your head every time.
Yeah, I wear a weighted vest while I'm at work.
But yeah, it's just that practical, like, you build it in, make it suck. It'll suck for 2 weeks. Your back will want to break or feel like it's breaking. But then a month later, your back's like, all right, I got this.
Go rocking.
Yeah.
Like, literally,
Just go
like,
hike.
that is such a good, yeah, just go hike.
Just go hike.
Carry a
Go walk.
backpack. I mean, you should be, if you're hiking, I don't care if it's a day hike, overnight,
You should have a backpack.
you should have a backpack. Like, that's one skill you're going to learn when you talk about practical fitness and survival. Is you're going to realize the necessity to always be prepared, which means you're always going to be carrying a backpack.
And you'll realize that too the more you go out and explore and stuff. Your pack just innately gets heavier and heavier because you realize like, oh, I needed this last time. I needed this the time
All it takes is
before.
one time for you to realize, like, I'm never going to be caught without this particular thing.
Yeah,
Ever
with
again.
my pants down.
Exactly. Like, actually, I think it was the last time we went, but it was probably that time that we actually built the igloo that I realized if you're going to do some sort of winter camping, make sure you're prepared.
Spend the money.
Good example,
Mm-hmm.
buy some snowboarding shorts. Make sure those are waterproof, because if they're not, you're going to be miserable.
Yeah.
That is what I will say too. If you want to get, we've kind of taken the 5 steps into just basically a camping excursion. But if you are gonna camp and you really want to like camp, spend the fucking money, man. Patagonia is worth it. I can tell you right now.
It's not just for rich assholes.
No, it
It's
is.
true.
Pay the money. Go to REI.
Base
lightweight,
layers, gloves,
Lightweight,
hat,
packable, and
good
more.
socks.
That,
I mean, you're going to learn the value of a good backpack, of a good pair of socks, a good pair of gloves.
Nothing like having a shit backpack
Being
fall apart in the
dry.
woods.
yeah.
I mean, dude, you and I have done that. How many times have we gone? I'm not calling anybody out for like any particular reason, but if you buy stuff at Big 5 Sporting Goods, be prepared. Where, you'll load your backpack up, go to throw it on your back and it breaks immediately. You're just like, oh, well, shit.
Guess I'm one strapping it now. Back
Couldn't
in 99,
handle the
dude.
40 pounds that I put in it, you know.
Yeah.
All right, so, well, but let's bring this back to the whole point of what we're doing, which is developing character. And I think the reason why we speak so much about the camping stuff is because there is something to be said for those activities to build your character.
You're
And if
kind
you
of
take-
going
and if
back
you-
to
and
your
if you take it-
baser instincts, and that's where I'm
Yeah.
seeing a trend here. You're going back to your baser instincts, and
And
you're developing and honing those finer innate skills. Well, supposedly innate.
Well, and even if camping is not your thing, just take this as an example. We're talking about the 5 steps to make a better person, and all of us obviously have this conjoined love for the outdoors. That's the passion. You know,
Yeah.
find something that you are passionate about that you can go on a tangent
Yeah.
regarding.
Yeah.
You know, if it's
Just
woodworking.
to make it like Fortnite or something.
Yeah,
like,
don't
yeah,
put-
you know, like.
Yeah.
Don't be weird. We have enough weird people out there.
Yeah.
Just fucking stop. You can quote me on that. But no, the last point I wanted was just put yourself out there, because I think that's where a lot of confidence comes from.
Yeah.
Like when I started writing and stuff, like even just the first couple times I put blogs out there, I was super, you know, it's a super nervous feeling to expose yourself and become vulnerable, but there's good, that's where you really receive the good and the bad that you need, I think, to kind of start
true.
shaping you. Is like you have to, whatever your outlet is, whatever your niche is, like do it and expose it, and you know, receive
Meet
the
failure,
feedback.
meet pain.
Yeah, and learn.
This is
Feedback.
something I'll say.
Learn from that communication, because that in and of itself is communication.
Yeah.
Is when you're out there and getting that feedback from failure, you need to be able to recognize it and communicate with it and learn from that.
Yeah, you need to. That's where growth comes from. Is if you never, and it doesn't have to be art. It doesn't have to whatever your thing is. If you never do anything more with it, then you never learn
Exactly.
from it.